Hey guys, I'm going to be talking about chapter 21. I know you guys are probably thinking, why chapter 21? What's so special about chapter 21? Well, I'll tell you. The chapter starts off with Jane saying that she doesn't believe in sign of presentiment. Presentiment means feelings about the future. But then Jane remembers that Bessie told Martha Abbott that she was having dreams of infants. The next day she got a call saying that her sister was on her deathbed. I know, really sad. Jane says that she was having these dreams for 7 nights. Then she gets called to the drawing room and she sees a man waiting there for her. We find out that he's Robert Levin, and Robert Levin is Bessie's husband. We find out that Bessie also has 3 kids and one of them was just born. So while they're talking, Robert Levin mentions that John Reed has died. Apparently, John Reed died in his chambers in London. We also find out that Mrs. Reed also suffered from a stroke. She was losing money, and then the death of John just came as a surprise and boom, stroke right there. So then Robert Levin invites Jane to go with him to Gateshead to visit Mrs. Reed. And of course she says, yeah, I'll go visit her. So then she goes to Mr. Rochester, who is playing billiards with Mrs. Ingram. And he starts questioning her about all these things, why she's going 100 miles away from him. One of the themes in this part to me is love, because Mr. Rochester is worrying about Jane leaving him and going so far away from him. Just to summarize everything quickly, Jane reaches Gateshead and sees Bessie there waiting for her. She goes and sees Mrs. Reed and talks to her about everything, and Mrs. Reed states all the wrongs that she's done to her. Jane then gets along with Georgiana and Eliza by hanging around with them most of the time. It's also mentioned that Georgiana and Eliza are very beautiful. Before Mrs. Reed passes, Mrs. Reed gives Jane a letter from her uncle, John Eyre. It is dated 3 years back, and it says, since he has ran into money, he wants to adopt her and live with her since he's childless and he's unmarried. The only reason Mrs. Reed didn't give her the letter is because she hated her with all her heart, and she wanted revenge on her. She didn't like her mother very much, and this is one of the reasons why she didn't give her the letter. While Jane and Mrs. Reed are talking everything out, Jane tells Mrs. Reed that she's forgiven, and that she needs to ask for God's forgiveness too. That night at 12 o'clock, Mrs. Reed dies, unfortunately. Eliza and Jane don't really cry. Actually, it states that a tear doesn't come out of their eyes, and Georgiana is the only one that cries. Just to summarize all the main points of the chapter, I made a little film, so please enjoy. Bye! When I was 6 years old, I heard Bessie Levin say to Martha Abbott that she dreamt of a little child, and that dreaming of them meant trouble, either to oneself or to one's kin. The saying might have worn out my memory, had not a circumstance immediately followed which served indelibly to fix it there. The next day Bessie was sent for home to the deathbed of her little sister.
Why am I having these dreams of infants? What could these mean?
Hello, miss. I don't know if you remember me, but my name's Levin. I used to live with Miss Reed when you lived in Gateshead. It's been 9 or 8 years and I still live there.
Oh, Robert, I do remember you. I remember you used to give me a ride on Georgiana's bay pony. How is Bessie?
Oh, she's fine. We have 3 kids now.
Are the family well too?
I'm sorry, but I cannot give you good news about them. They're all in great trouble.
I hope no one is dead.
John died in his chambers yesterday in London, and a lot of people think it's a suicide. Yeah. Miss Reed hasn't been doing too well either. With the loss of money and the death of John, she had a stroke. And maybe tomorrow we could head out to Gatesfield and visit her.
Okay, I'll go get ready. I guess I should go visit her. Can you at least give me $1,200?
So, how do I say goodbye?
Like this. Goodbye.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Oh my goodness, you made it! I thought you. I hope she's not dead. Don't worry, she's alive. The doctor thinks she'll finally recover.
Mrs. Reed? Oh, you mean Mama? Yeah, she's not doing so well. I doubt you'll be able to see her tonight.
Could you just tell her that I am here? She doesn't like being disturbed.
I hated that child. I'm so glad I took her out of my house. Many people died in Lowood. I wish she had died.
Why do you hate her so much?
Her mother was my husband's sister and his favorite, blah, blah, blah. I just hate her mother.
I should go.
Read the letter.
Madame, will you have the goodness to send me the address of my niece, Jane Eyre, and to tell me how she is? It is my intention to write shortly and desire her to come to me at Madeira province. Has blessed my endeavors to secure a competency, and as I am unmarried and childless, I wish to adopt her during my life, and bequeath her at my death whatever I may have to leave. John Eyre.
Love me then, or hate me, as you will. You have my full and free forgiveness. Ask now for God's and be at peace.
No!